I'll introduce myself to those of you who don't know me. I like to see myself more as an entrepreneur than an investor, although sometimes I also give my companies a little bit of start money, but I will be representing here, I think, the entrepreneurial side of things. And we have here a very good list of investors from all different types, so I think we should let you guys introduce yourself. We'll start with Chris from Blumberg Capital.
Yes, thank you. So Chris Gottschalk, Blumberg Capital, Vice President there. We are a classic early stage venture firm, really focused on leading seed and Series A. Our unique advantage is an office and presence in San Francisco, as well as an office and presence in Tel Aviv. And really, we're full tech stack investors, so everything from deep infrastructure and storage to consumer-facing commerce, gaming, et cetera. We're writing checks anywhere from $500K to 2 or 3 million, and particular focus on capital-efficient businesses. So that usually keeps us to the software side. No hardware, no clean tech, high-growth, capital-efficient type businesses.
Okay, and next, Zohar.
Hi, my name is Zohar Levkovitz. Last year I presented here at the conference, Space AL, the Israeli spaceship project. 2 years ago I presented a Mobi. So eventually we sold the Mobi, we sold it for a huge amount of money. It was my fourth startup. Until now I sold companies for over $1 billion, and I decided that I don't want to do it again. But on the same time I have a 6 months baby at home, and it is quite noisy, so I want to be out. And instead of calling myself unemployed, I bought the domain rounda.com and decided to start and invest in companies. And I'm doing it for the last almost 4 years. And I don't know if I'm good at it or not, but I had some huge success. Right now, one of my companies got a term sheet for over $1 billion. I'm not sure that they're going to sell it or not, but it was quite amazing. And you know, frankly, after I was an entrepreneur so many times, it is so refreshing and so simple to be a VC. You just need to give some money and someone else will do the work and you will enjoy it. So that's life.
And how would you describe yourself today? You're an entrepreneur, angel investor, VC?
Well, I always present myself the same way. I'm a lazy person, going after lazy things to do. I became an entrepreneur because it was much easier than working for Converse or IBM. And now I became a VC or an angel investor or whatever you want to call it because it is simple. You know, it is much easier for me to invest in companies than for someone like NEA or Sequoia. They need to manage billions of dollars. I need to manage my wife's money. So for me to invest...
I don't know if managing your wife's money is that much easier than LP money, but you see, he's not laughing. He's laughing for a reason there.
For me, it is very simple because I need to invest $200,000, and if I will get back 2 million, 20 million, I'm okay with it. You know, it is much better than Wells Fargo interest rate. So it is much, much easier, but overall, yes, I am an entrepreneur, and I'm sure that once I will find the big next idea, I will go with it and lead another company and sell another company. That's what I like to do.
Amen, yeah. Yoav.
Yeah,
my friend Yoav, I would say.
So I was an entrepreneur as well. I started, grew, and sold 3 startups, sold them all at a relatively early stage, and then about 5.5 years ago, decided to start my own firm, Wild Ventures. So we invest exclusively in B2B internet companies that are capital efficient and that have, we got some slides here. Well, I guess I might have been the only one who sent in slides, so. So
but we're not going to read this. We're said brief introductions.
Yeah, so we invest in the internet, capital efficient, all B2B, and a big focus on SaaS in Israel. That's where we get most of our deal flow. You know, all of these are very big, kind of growing B2B areas. You know, big multi-billion-dollar markets that we invest in. Our investment is typically $1 to $2 million seed, and then we reserve another $1 to $2 million for follow-ons and etc. We've got a base in Silicon Valley, that's where I'm based, and I've got a partner in Israel as well, and so we've got the dual track. And we distinguish between 2 different kind of exit scenarios for companies. The short haul is when they're relatively quick exits, and we had a couple of those, and the long haul is when you try to build a big company, try to kind of swing for the fences, and we have a couple of those as well. So.
Excellent. Ran.
I typically don't present myself as a VC. I actually joined a venture capital firm a couple of years ago. I am definitely not sure if I'm good or bad at it. I'm only going to know many years from now. I'm enjoying it very much. I meet founders and entrepreneurs just like I was not too long ago. And it's just the best job I've ever had. Some of the people that I that I invested in are here. WalkMe, one of the companies outside here in the pavilion. They're doing an amazing job. So basically, we look for great people with big ideas. We focus typically on companies that could really go all the way. We don't look for quick exits. But at the end of the day, we do whatever makes sense. And that's it.
Excellent. Gilad, my friend Gilad.
So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gilad Novik. I'm the CTO of Horizons Ventures, which is the private investment arm of Mr. Lee Ka-shing. Mr. Lee is the richest guy in Asia, and a few years back he decided to establish a charity organization. It's not a charity, it's kind of a philanthropic organization called the Lee Ka-shing Foundation, which he contributes in the fields of health and education. And Horizon Venture is kind of a vehicle to create money for the Lee Ka-shing Foundation. So a little bit about Horizons. We invest in early stage companies in the fields of internet and mobile. Some of our portfolio companies are Facebook, Spotify, Second Market, Series, one of ours. And we have Waze, and we made in the past 2 years in Israel 21 investments.
I see the guy from China is probably the most active, I mean, not Gilad, but actually Horizons did an amazing job in Israel covering. They're one of the most active firms there. I had the personal privilege of working with them. They're excellent partners, and I think it's very good that we're getting the Chinese money into Israel, and it's bouncing probably a lot of money going the other way. And Chetan.
So I'm with NEA. We're a $13 billion venture capital fund. We're investing out of our 14th fund, which we raised last summer, which is a $2.6 billion fund. We invest across sectors, stages, and geographies. So we like to say that we'll invest anywhere between $100,000 to $100 million. Typically, we like to invest at the Series A and continue to invest in the company in follow-on rounds. We're very dynamic with how much we reserve on follow-ons. We can enter in growth equity stages as well. So, diversified fund.
Excellent. And now, just very, in Hebrew we call it Shlav She'ela Zeha, the stage of the identical question to all the panelists. And because we're on a little bit of a time pressure, right? Let's do it just in one sentence. There's a lot of entrepreneurs in the audience, and some entrepreneurs are going to present to us right now. In one sentence, not more, can you try to explain to us why you can be a good partner for an entrepreneur who's looking for an investor? We'll start with you, Chetan. I'm pronouncing your name right?
Yeah, you are.
Okay, that's luck.
So why would NEA be a good partner?
Yeah, or you.
Sure. So we have been in business for 35 years and have a lot of knowledge on building standalone huge companies. So we were early investors in companies like Salesforce, Workday, Juniper, WebEx, and we're investors in what we believe will be the next generation of big standalone companies that many of you may not have heard of yet. And so bring a lot of tribal knowledge to the table and can really help entrepreneurs succeed.
Well, excellent. That was one sentence with a lot of commas, but I think you made your point.
It was a long sentence.
No, that was good. Gilad?
I think what we bring to the table is a group of operational units. Like we've got 12 mobile operators around the world. We are a gateway to China, and we've got close links to companies over the US which are part of the portfolio, which is a valuable thing for startups.
Elan?
I don't think you're going to hear very different pitches from the various VCs. We also, our partners have vast operational experience and a network of contacts, and we try to help our entrepreneurs and work with them to make sure that they're successful.
Yoav?
I think we're really, really good for only one type of VCs, and that's Israeli SaaS companies, because we know SaaS, and because we've got the network in Silicon Valley to help them make it happen.
Zohar?
Well, I'm trying to be frank most of the time, so I cannot explain why me. I can explain why NEA. They are much, much better. But guess what? It is tough to get them, and I'm much faster. So I don't have investment committee. I can decide right now what I want to do. But if you have the opportunity to decide between me and NEA, go to NEA.
Very good. Chris?
Yeah, we like to be early. We like to have conviction and write a meaningful check early on. So I think that's key. And the second point is we act as an extension of the Entrepreneurs Network, not only here in San Francisco and Israel where we have an office, but also our global footprint. So we invest in companies in Berlin, Southern California, Vancouver, New York, and we can tap all of our resources to help entrepreneurs.
Excellent. And last question for this phase. Can you tell us about an Israeli company that you think is excellent? You were recommended as an investment opportunity, but you didn't get to invest in it. And we'll start with Chris again.
Well, I like what Zimperium's doing. You saw Zuck. We're not invested, but I think it's a very interesting company, great entrepreneur, so we'll keep a close eye on those guys.
So I'm actually going to invest in Zimperium, so you are right about it. They are amazing. They are going to be the next checkpoint. I didn't that there are so many Israeli companies that I didn't invest, but who cares?
We keep an on-portfolio database, and it's very, 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 very long. Lots of misses. But I mean, even Magisto that's here and WalkMe that's here, those are great companies.
Yeah?
I can't think of one right now.
I think, that you're kind of twisting my arm to say some jokes about Israeli venture capital VC firms, but I won't. Gilad?
I think the one that I actually worked pretty hard to actually get in was hola.org, and I think it took a year.
But you did invest.
Eventually we did, but it was very hard to actually get there.
Hey, Chetan, did you see any Israeli company you think it was good but didn't get to invest?
We're very early in investing in Israel. We've invested in the past in organic opportunities that have come through, but I would say Waze is a great company that's in Palo Alto that's come out of Israel that I'm sure we wish we were a part of.
Well, Gilad's probably happy because two of his portfolio companies were mentioned right now. So we're going now to 5 more minutes.
What I would want to understand, can I ask a question?
Of course.
Okay, all right, good. I want to understand when you look at these companies, can you describe for those people who have never had a VC investment, what's the process like? You say, Gilad, it was very difficult to invest in Hola. Why? Did they not want your money?
Yeah, that was probably one.
Knowing the founder of Hola, he was probably interviewing VCs,
he was interviewing VCs
rather than the other way around.
Process, and it was very difficult actually to get him as an investee. But I think the process for us is slightly probably different than other VCs because we are a private fund, and what we are looking for is disruptive technologies. So anything which is crazy and don't have a business model behind it, that's something that's very, very interesting for us.
Yeah, I have to say, before when the two VCs were talking about, they look for two, I think, of the panels were talking about looking for capital-efficient companies. So I was thinking when maybe Israel is not the right market for you guys. But so wacky ideas without a business model? That sounds about right. No?
Part of it, yeah.
Who's next? Sharona's question.
The question of how do you get a possible portfolio company to take your money? And what happens in that conversation? Because most of us have never been involved in that conversation. We just hear about it, we read about it, we say, gee, how do we get into it? But we don't know anything. So what happens when you're trying to get a possible portfolio company to fall in love with you? And how does that conversation take place? Just to give us a peek into the mind and the situation of a VC.
Well, the good deals are usually competitive, right? I mean, the really great startups, I think in most cases we've been competing with other investors for the deals. So I think what you really need to do very, very quickly is prove added value. And the way we do that is our due diligence process is basically introducing these companies to their potential customers, partners, acquirers in Silicon Valley. So we do 10 introductions within 48 hours, and I think they get impressed and they kind of get engaged, and then they kind of get into the conversation with us, and that's how we do it.
Okay. Anybody?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's like building any partnership. We're a service-oriented business, and we have to provide services to the entrepreneurs. And so we have CIO and CMO councils where we put our portfolio companies in front of Fortune 500 CIOs and CMOs and accelerate the sales cycle and pilot customers on the enterprise side. We tap our network and really act, like I said before, as an extension of the entrepreneurs network. And we proceed in conversations, not only showing but proving out our services. And at the end of the day, you can act quickly, provide capital and additional services. That helps build a quick partnership.
And now a specific question to Zohar. So I understand that you probably don't have a very structured process, etc. But how do you leverage your entrepreneurial experience to help either assessing the companies and later, after investing, go to market, actually?
Well, I don't. I don't believe in mentoring, and I don't believe that anything that I did in the past is relevant to any new company. And actually, I believe that anyone who will try to do what I did for Amobi or other companies, it is going to be deadly for him. So I'm just trying not to do too much damage. And I'm trying to make some connections to bigger VCs. I'm trying to make some connections to my network. But other than that, the entrepreneur should build the company, not me.
And how much of your time, let's say if a regular VC would say they do 50% of the time deal flow, 50% portfolio, how would you divide your time?
I don't even know. I never calculated it. But I was fortunate enough to work with some great VCs such as Sequoia. And Sequoia, for example, when I started my company Amobi, I spent about 2 hours every day for 2 years with Chaim Sadger and Mike Morris from Sequoia over the phone, face-to-face meeting. And they built the company together with me. So I believe that I learned one or two things from them, how to help the other entrepreneurs, but really I'm trying not to make too much damage. Because I know that I'm a very dominant person, and if I will get involved, I will make a damage.
I think that's a very candid answer, and I think if a lot of other investors would take that approach, that would make more companies successful. So another question to the panel now, I thought of it just now after Zohar said, how do you avoid doing damage to the companies? Because on one hand, you want to bring added value. On the other hand, you don't want to go and make the entrepreneur's life too miserable and put more stress than the entrepreneur already have. How do you keep that balance, Chetan?
So, it's as a board member, all you can do for the entrepreneur is help and connect them to the right resources and offer advice. I think a lot of what our job is to understand the moment that the entrepreneur is in at that exact moment, right? Do you push them to go harder, go faster, grow faster, or are things going sideways? And does that mean that you're going to have to structure a financing to help them get through the next 12 months and figure out a pivot or a new market or something like that? It's all about being supportive and understanding exactly what the entrepreneur is going through and having very honest conversations back and forth. And they take a lot of time. And you asked earlier, how much time do you spend deal sourcing versus working with your portfolio companies? I would say at least 75% of my time is with working with our CEOs.
Oh, really?
And some weeks and some months, it's 100% of your time. Because, as you know, in startup life, each week is a different story. One week it looks great, one week it looks sideways, another week it looks straight down. And it's about working with the entrepreneur to get through those moments and be helpful.
Yeah. Eran?
So for me, I've been doing this the least amount of time out of all the panelists. I've been an entrepreneur and in operations for many years. So for me still, so we do one deal a year. I did 2 last year, but that's a little bit of an anomaly. And still for me, from the selection process through to the deal-making process and then afterwards, there's 2 things I can say. One, every occasion is completely different. And I think it's like a relationship. It evolves the way that it evolves. I do not have a process yet. Maybe 5-10 years from now, I'll be honored to be on a panel here again, and I'll tell you that I've developed some kind of a process. But every case is unique and different. I still make a ton of mistakes. All of you are welcome to go to Dana Dika. He's the CEO of WalkMe, and he's here, and he can tell you about all of my mistakes from the last 6 months that we've been together. So I honestly think that in the VC business, the way the big funds are structured and a partner does a deal and a half a year on average. Every case could be completely different,
And
depending on
may
many different factors.
May I ask you a sensitive question?
No.
It's only you and I here, and nobody else is here without anybody else listening.
I barely know you.
A lot of the Israeli VCs, we see now companies like Horizon Ventures, NEA, Blumberg as well, a lot of individuals and foreign VCs like Sequoia and Greylock are coming to Israel. And on the other hand, some of the older Israeli VCs were not able to raise follow-up funds and seized Operation Gemini, which is definitely one of the best funds ever been to Israel, is still around. But do you feel there's a risk for the future, not right now, but in the next years? How do you feel when you see a lot of foreigners coming in and the local community getting smaller, and what are you trying to do to fight this?
First of all, they're not foreigners. I think it's good for Israel that any kind of investor will come in and fund the growth that we have in our amazing high-tech industry. Some of them hire local people and set up separate funds. Some people hire locals and do not have a separate fund, and some people.
No, but I mean,
do
do you feel a pressure to have big successes just so you won't be another evergreen, for example?
Reality is that we live in a Herzliya as an extension of Sand Hill Road, and any fund, Israeli or another, will be judged against all other alternatives that LPs have, and they will invest based on performance. I think some of the Israeli funds are still out there raising their next fund. Pitango just completed the next round. Magma completed their next fund. Carmel is out there right now. We will be out there next year. And I think at the end of the day, it's a performance game. If you can show that you're going to make money for your investors, they're going to invest in you. If not, they'll do something else.
Evolution. And Sharona, how are you doing time-wise?
I think we're getting ready there. If I could just ask one other question. Can you each go talk about the name of a company that you've invested in the past year? Just throw out a name.
Yeah, you heard about zero-day attacks on the previous panel. We invested in a security company called Cyvera, protecting you on Windows-based desktops and servers, preventing zero-day attacks. Very interesting company, great technology built out of Israel.
Yeah, Zohar?
So as I said before, I'm a lazy person, so I will mention Imperium, and you all know what they are doing. So I don't need to mention it again.
Yeah. Actually, I will tell a secret again, only because it's us here and nobody else is listening. I would say that probably most of VCs don't really know what their companies are doing, but you're the only one who has the courage to admit it.
So just slightly over a year ago, we invested in Sixcan, which was right here on stage before us, so I don't have to talk much more about that. But within about 2 weeks of Sixcan, we also invested in a company called BlazeMeter, which is a cloud-based testing platform for developers, which is doing very well.
Gilad?
So I'll also mention two companies, just because he did. So WalkMe is here, and you're welcome to go to their booth. They're an amazing company doing the next generation web interaction tools. And another company is called MoveIt, and they're building a real-time crowdsourced public transit navigation system.
Gilad?
I don't think I will go through the whole list, but I will mention probably Hola, Magisto, Onavo, Webits, Stevie.
You're cheating.
Yeah, you're cheating because first it was more than one, and most of them weren't in the last year.
Okay. So one that I actually want to mention is a company called Samli. It's not directly from Israel.
Who heard about Samli, by the way?
So the story of Samli is a very interesting story. It's a story about a company that developed an algorithm that summarizes articles. So instead of reading the whole article, you just get a summary out of it. And the story is that I read something on the internet like 2 years ago, and I contacted the founder, and we had a very long conversation over the phone, and it sounded very interesting. So I told him, Nick, I really want to meet with you. When are you free? And he said, either before or after school. So I asked him, how old are you? He said, I'm 15. I said, okay, so let's meet on Saturday, but with your parents. And I met him with his parents. He was very unique. He's still a very special and unique guy. And we funded him, and 2 years after, actually 18 months after, he sold his company to Yahoo last month.
Yeah. Yahoo. Cool. Yeah.
How much?
How?
30 million.
30 million.
Wow.
30 million, which is a very profitable exit for the cash invested in, right? Very profitable. And I have to say, you would read a lot of commentary about why would Yahoo buy this company from then he was a 17-year-old kid for so much money. And then if you look at it, Yahoo is a profitable company with over $2 billion in the bank. So it's a small price to pay for a company who wants to reposition itself, and while at it, getting a very good and cool new service and more in the mobile property. So sometimes a lot of the consideration about the exit is sometimes that you cannot even foresee as an investor. And by the way, if there's any way to invest in next company, I would like to sign up. Yeah, Chetan, one company.
We invested in a company called Tengen, the company behind MongoDB. Hopefully, if you're developing an application, you're using Mongo. And another company is MuleSoft, which is a cloud platform to integrate all your applications.
MuleSoft?
MuleSoft.
Oh, MuleSoft. Excellent. So, Sharona, are we?
Yes,
we're Future Festing?
we are. Are you itching for Future Fest?
I'm itching for Future Fest, yeah, I have to admit.
Well, first of all, a round of applause to our VCs.